Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're back here with some Sandbox building, and our goal for building today is going to be making a soapbox car with a working steering system. So we'll see how that goes. I haven't successfully made one yet, I could say. I've just kind of got the idea, gonna work on it. But before we get to that, I'm just going to actually enable the Spawn Anything mod, and we're gonna go through some story levels and collect some props that we can use for some building today. So with the Spawn Anything mod, all you have to do is shoot items that you want, and if a name pops up there, you've got it. So first off, valve, obviously a good steering wheel there. Use some of that for some moving bits. We got a tire, or rather a few. Let's see. Use that for a rear axle. Now another thing we're going to want for designing this is some lead pipes. Because to make a steering system, at least a basic go-kart steering system, you need some L shapes basically. We're also going to use the Weldgun mod that changes the gravity welder into a weld gun. I don't like how it has this annoying hum noise, so what I do is I spawn one in, grab it to turn it on, and remove it. And the next one just won't make any noise because it'll be turned on by default. We'll get a dev manipulator and a welder, and we'll also use custom utilities with this to freeze some stuff. Now it's worth noting, if you're using this welder to connect things with either its weld mode or its ball and socket mode, which is what we're going to be using a lot of, it's really important that you don't use custom utilities to inflate or deflate the object, because it means that once you connect them, things go off center and all wonky. So if you can find a smaller prop instead of just scaling down a big one, you're going to be way better off. Okay, so with that out of the way, before we do anything, we want to sort of place down our platform, the kind of first part of our chassis here. So I want to get an armor plate. And this is one that we can inflate. This is going to be a parent object, so it doesn't really matter with the welder tool. I think that's about good width for a go-kart. So we've got our armor plate. We're going to freeze it in the air, but maybe move it into a little more of an open space. Get rid of that block it was on. So what we're going to do for the rear axle is we'll take one of these dumbbells and we're going to put a tire onto it. So the first step is to make lining up the tire and the dumbbell pretty easy, is we just get some balloons to make it stand up on its own. We'll actually scale these tires down and use this to connect them to the dumbbells. So I think that's a pretty good size. So yeah, we will use this with fixed weld mode. Grab some tires. Set it on the ground. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of try and set it in the middle best we can. Get on down here. And these tires are actually too heavy, so we'll have to use the utilities mod and set their mass to 1. And that'll just help with positioning everything. So put it roughly in the center. Doesn't have to be too accurate. Do the same thing with this one. Just change where we're gripping it here. Oh. Okay, and that actually looks quite nice. get rid of those balloons. That's our first axle ready to go. Rolls good. We've got nice tire sounds there. So we're just going to try and line this up with the very back of this plate. So it's straight. Yep. And then what we do to make an axle is we go to ball and socket mode and we put a, well, first you select the parent, put the ball and socket at the end of the axle, and then to complete it you select the parent again and you put one on the other end. Now in this case I accidentally jumped, which changes the mode to elastic or whatever's after what you have selected. We're just going to fix that real quick. There we go. Ball and socket. It's hard to see because it is trapped against the ground now, but it will be a working axle now. And once we unfreeze the main plate here, it'll be a little more apparent that it works. So next up, we've got a valve. And we're going to get one of these for our steering mechanism. And what you basically do is you put the valve on the one end, and when you steer, this end of the L shape tips side to side, and that's going to adjust not your axles, but like a bar that steers the wheels. So we'll just get this put into weld mode. And one nice thing with this valve is it has colliders everywhere except the middle, so you can stick things right through it if you want. So we'll just sort of weld from there to there. Looks pretty good. And then while we work on this, we'll have to also freeze the wheel midair. How's that? Okay, I'm happy with that. Basically, we're gonna freeze 2 bars, sort of here, and there'll be ball mounted to the end of this. So when you steer, this is gonna tip. It's gonna make the bars slide, like so. And when they slide, they will push on the end of another L shape, and that will make the wheels turn. So of course, ball and socket. That's the parent. That's the child. And that looks pretty good to me. We leave that for a little bit. And then we've got these. So these are going to be hovering just above. You want to kind of have the very tip of it under there. And that way you'll have the most leverage. And try and make it nice and vertical too. Likewise for this one. So that's looking pretty good. And then what we can do is we do a ball and socket joint from here to the tip. Same thing. And then to keep this from just going wherever, we also do a ball and socket joint from the main part of the cart onto there. And onto just roughly the bottom, doesn't have to be too precise. There we go. And I did forget one thing earlier, is we also have to attach the steering here. So again, make it like an axle, right? We put the ball and socket there. Come around. Put it on the end. And now this whole setup so far should be perfectly fine. So now what we want to do is we want to make the wheels and attach them down to here. What we want to do is we want to take these wheels and we want to kind of freeze them. They can be anywhere, it doesn't have to be near there. Just kind of put them where you want. And then we're going to attach them to this with 2 more ball and sockets so that it can roll. But then when this pushes and it turns this, it will also turn our wheel. So we're going to... Whoa, what's going on? Okay. So we're going to put it close to the ground. The one that I'll freeze is the dumbbells. It doesn't really matter which one, but that's what I'll do. Okay. So that looks pretty even. I'm happy with that. Go to ball and socket mode here. And again, this is just the parent, so we select any part we want. To the middle. And again. And we'll do the same thing over here. Okay. And then now we just want to kind of, before unfreezing anything, we want to run through and just mentally go over how everything is attached and make sure that's good. So this is obviously good. We know that we welded the tires to the bell, so those are on firm. Bell is attached to the body by 2 ball and socket joints. You can see that they are on the ends, so this whole back half is good. This is welded to the pipe already, so we know that's good. And then from the body we have ball and socket on both ends, so the steering column will rotate as expected. On the tip, 2 ball and sockets, pretty simple. Ball and socket up to there and there. So this here isn't going to fall off because it's being held on not only by this, but by this, which is attached like an axle to the main body. So that's all solid. And then the wheels here, axle mounted to those, which are to the body and affected by the steering. So theoretically that should work. So this is our moment of truth, really, because now we have to go unfreeze everything that we had frozen and just pray that it works. Including these. Okay. Anything else frozen here? Don't think so. Okay, so first off, let's test our steering. Okay, and you might notice when I grab it, and then I start, or at least if I grab with 2 hands, it starts rolling backwards. That's just a limitation with the physics engine. And one way to just counter that is to just kind of push the parts with your hands instead. But we might be able to find a solution to that as well. Oh, this rolled. Okay. So to prevent these from rolling, we can just do a second ball and socket mount to the parts that they're attached to. So we'll go from the bottom to the top there. But we actually will use the tether, and we'll just go from the inside of the pipe to there, and then it won't let us push it away from the pipe. It'll always be at the same distance. And then another thing we can do is we can say, well, if we want the wheel to stay straight, which, yes, this is actually a lot more responsive now, is we can say, well, take some elastics, pull it down, maybe not that much. There we go, steering is working quite nicely. We can sort of just rest our hands in there while steering it for now. If you push it instead of pull it, it actually doesn't do the physics glitch. And you also get the benefit of, I guess, getting some free boost for your car, which is kind of funny. But we do want some method of propulsion here as well, right? We do have this. This is the heavy gun. So it doesn't need ammo. It can continue to fire a massive amount of knockback when you hit something with it. So I'm thinking maybe we could make use of this for the boost, maybe? We'll see. So what we could sort of do for that is have the heavy gun sort of right here. Like so. And then we just put something in front of it and weld that something to the vehicle. We actually need to put another plate just to keep us on the thing. Only thing is I'm finding myself having to switch which side I'm firing from to kind of prevent it from steering me. I think to counter that, what you do is you take one of the ones that's on the sides. So for instance, this one is trying to steer you to the right. So if I took it and I turned it outwards a bit, then it would solve the problem that way. Hopefully that works. Come to think of it, it's still pretty straight, but okay. That's working out pretty well, actually. So you just grab the top of the wheel. And yeah, you can do some basic lapping. Okay, so I think that's it for the go-kart. A proof of concept more than anything else. You could definitely do this with a few other methods, but I figured for the sake of the video, this is good enough. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. This was pretty fun to make. Took a few failed attempts. There's there's like 20 gigabytes of footage that I had to delete. But yeah. Anyways, I hope I inspired you to make something cool, and I'll see you later.